Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining New Jersey Wedding Podcast. We are your hosts, Andrea Pertel and Celia Milton, and we are both full-time professional wedding officiants here in New Jersey. And we thank you for joining us today. We have a great episode. How are you, Celia?
Oh, I'm fantastic. How are you doing? How are you doing, Alicia?
Doing wonderful. Thanks for
Good.
asking.
Good. Well, we're very happy that you're here. I feel like planners are such a necessity for people who are, it's interesting. The more that we have people who are interested in do-it-yourselfing parts of this thing, the more they need a planner. Yes, they do. So we're very happy you're here. Alicia's company, Alicia Margaret Events, is a planning and design company. They're based in northern New Jersey. Um, she will definitely help engaged couples go from busy and stressed to completely overwhelmed to being confident and at peace with the planning process. She will guide them through decisions and the creative choices that come along with crafting a personalized event that you really want to have express your unique personality as a couple and as individuals, and maybe sometimes don't know how to get from point A to point B. So, Alicia, how are you going to help our couples?
Well, I think being a planner, help comes in a lot of different forms. It really depends on the couple itself. I mean, some couples are super creative and they have a vision for how they want their event to look, how they want it to feel, the aesthetic. So they have no, issue with their design choices, but logistically, they're like, we don't know where to start in the research process when it comes to booking vendors and knowing what questions to ask. So they need a little bit more help on that side of things. And then for others, it's the complete opposite, where they're super organized. They have no qualms about asking questions and knowing what they want in a vendor, but creatively, they're like, I'm stuck. Help me make this a great, unique, beautiful event that reflects who we are. So, it kind of depends on the couple or the client overall and what their strengths are and where they need a little extra help.
You make a really good point, because I think some people are very good at knowing what, I want these flowers and we want
Mhm.
those tablecloths, and other people are more kind of focused on the big picture. They've got maybe a buzzword in their head. Like I've got boho in my head right now because we're redoing a
Mhm.
website, but and they don't know what colors, what rentals, what vendors even are going to get them from their idea to what you're going to help them present.
Right. Her
Mhm.
experience can help someone, a couple, match a vendor to them that reflects their vision.
Mhm.
There's so many to
Mhm.
choose from.
Exactly. And I think a big part of it too is, budget, of course, where do you want to fall budget wise with each particular vendor? And then even personality. I'm very fortunate to work with so many great vendors across New Jersey and New York. But everyone's different. There's some couples that I know will really hit it off with a certain photographer or video team or DJ. And I know they're going to click and they're going to be a great fit. That doesn't mean anyone else is any less qualified. It just, I know, for my particular client, that's going to, their working style, their personalities are going to fit best with, my clients in that instance. So that's also a big part of when it comes to vendor selection. That's a big part of the process.
Yeah.
Do you find that are you doing a lot of full planning I'm sure you do everything, but are you finding that people are doing the full planning, or, having people say it's day of? We all know it's not day of. Or
Yeah.
what do you find is the most popular way for people to be working with planners and designers right now?
I see it's a lot of both, to be honest. I think that full planning is becoming more and more popular. I think people are realizing the value in having a planner and
Mhm.
are maybe opting and putting more of their budget towards those services. So, with full planning, that's really A to Z planning from start to finish. So you work together on vendor procurement, on all of the logistics and the design from start to finish. But I also still see a lot of clients come my way for wedding management or, AKA day of, where we work together maybe 2 months before the event and really fine tune the logistics and make sure everything comes together seamlessly. Because there are still a lot of couples that either are just more comfortable doing the planning on their own. They They don't feel the need to have someone, work with them hand in hand from the
Mhm.
start. And they just want to really make sure things go well the day of. Or on the opposite side, sometimes budget is a constraint because full planning, of course, is going to be higher cost than a wedding management service. But so I see demand for both for sure. But I think there are definitely planners who specialize in one or the other. I mean, I personally do a little bit of both, but there are some planners who focus more so on full service, and others who really like the event management side of things, and then a little bit in between too.
Mm.
How do you advise your couples with this? This is a common question. If you're having your wedding at a venue that comes with a coordinator for the venue, um,
Mhm.
does the couple still need a planner?
So what I always tell my couples is absolutely, our
Mhm.
jobs are very different. So whoever's
Yes,
working at the venue, their priority, as it should be, is everything related to the venue itself.
right.
And so they're going to work with you on the menu selection. They're going to work with you on, potentially like your linen selection, the floor plan, anything that is going to be their responsibility. Whereas as a planner, my job is much more of a all-encompassing view of the day. So I'm working with you on your timeline from the very start of the morning, when breakfast is getting delivered, all the way through to the end of the night. And I have touch points with all of your vendors. So like if a driver doesn't show up from your transportation team
Mm.
at 11 a.m. when they need to bring you to the first look location, I already know that. I'm calling them and making sure we get that rectified. So it's a very different set of responsibilities between someone who works solely at the venue, and then a coordinator or a planner outside of the venue.
That's so
Right.
true.
Yes.
I always tell my couples that you do not want to be the point person on
No.
that day. You don't want to know why the cake isn't there or why the makeup artist is late. You
Mhm.
just because you're not going to enjoy it. Listen,
You
I
don't
did my
even
own
want to know
wedding.
that it's late, right?
No, you don't even want to know. No, absolutely not.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
love when they have a planner or same day coordinator, because I love having that person that I can touch base with instead of if I have any questions or when I arrive, for the wedding, and anything leading up to it that I don't have to bother the couple with. I love
Mhm.
telling them, give the license to your coordinator. I'll get that from her.
That's
And
right.
we love that responsibility. We appreciate when we're copied on all emails. We
Yeah.
appreciate being that point of contact. That's probably my biggest pet peeve is when I'm not not replied all and not CC'd. I'm like, oh no,
Oh, I know.
I want to know everything.
I was
Yeah.
telling Celia, and I love all my couples, and I know they get very busy, but I have a wedding coming up, and it's just in a couple of weeks. And I've reached out to the couple a couple of times. They must be busy, something must be going
Mhm.
on, but nobody's getting back to me. I'm like, wait, do they have a planner? Let me see. Oh, darn it, they don't. Cause I was like, I'm just gonna go right to the planner and ask these questions. Yeah,
Yeah.
make it easier. Uh,
Mhm.
Oh, definitely. It's just, I don't, you can't ask me when the shuttle's coming because I don't know.
yeah, yeah,
It's like I'm
exactly.
there later. Do you
Yeah.
are you finding we talk about when we talk about trends, we're usually talking about things that we're seeing people doing, not because they saw it on a website someplace and it's like, oh, we have to have that. What are you seeing with your people coming up in the next, in the next year or so? Any trends that we should know about? Any things that people are deciding on that maybe they didn't decide on before?
Two things come to mind. I don't know if they're trends necessarily, but I'm seeing them more frequently. Is particularly for my couples that are based in Manhattan and Brooklyn, like New York City area. I'm
Mm.
seeing fewer wedding parties. A
Yeah,
lot of the
yes.
time it's just the couple, which I
Yeah,
love.
we are too.
Oh, us
Yeah.
too.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, wedding parties are I think always going to be a thing. It's not in any way disappearing. I just happens to be that a lot of the inquiries that I'm seeing for later this year, for next year, they're just not having wedding parties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that seems to be becoming more of the norm.
Yeah, I
And
kind of like that too. I don't know why I like that. I like a nice wedding party too. I'm not against anything, but I do like just the couple and no wedding party for some reason,
yeah,
but
yeah,
um,
I just feel like, it's more, there's a few benefits, right? You're not locking people into costs such as, at
right,
least for certain members of the wedding party, dresses that they'll honestly probably never wear again.
right,
Uh, just there's so many expenses that come along with committing to being at a wedding party. So there's
right,
that piece of it. And then honestly, just logistically, it's so much simpler as a bride or groom, or as not having to coordinate everyone's schedules and make sure everyone is at this certain location at a certain time. I mean, you're going to save on floral costs, you're going to save on
right.
Oh, yeah.
transportation.
Right. It's
But
budget friendly for the couple as well, and probably also
exactly.
for pictures, too. Photography,
Yeah, it's
pictures with the wedding.
absolutely coordinating 20 people for pictures
Yeah.
takes time, and just takes time away from maybe some
Yeah.
portraits you could be doing as a couple, I mean, of course, we as a planner, I'm working in time to make sure that still happens.
Yeah.
Your photographer is going to ensure that you get the photos you want, but you have a much more relaxed photo session time when it is fewer people to have to shuffle around the
I think
city
so
or
too.
wherever it is you're doing your photos.
Mhm.
Um,
And less drama, not to mention. I mean, there is not always drama, but sometimes there is.
yeah, it lessens the chance of it happening.
Yes, it certainly does,
Typically.
doesn't it? It does.
And
I
any other
know.
trends that you're seeing? I didn't mean to,
Oh, yeah, I mean, the other thing that I just recently have noticed, and I think is going to really explode over the next couple of years, dare I say, make that prediction. I actually have a client that is getting married next week who is doing a live photo shoot at their wedding. And it's basically, I don't want to simplify it, the terms, but essentially it's a photo booth area, but instead of a just a plain backdrop, it is a full like a life-size experience, so to speak. I mean, it's a photo shoot backdrop with, in this case, really large life-size flowers. I mean, it's going to look absolutely beautiful. And what's different about this particular photo booth is that you've got 2 to 3 trained photographers who are going to pose your guests. They're going to give them advice on like how to stand, how to pose, and also not only take their photos, but edit them on site as well.
Oh,
So it's more so a photo shoot than it is I'm standing in front of a backdrop, I'm hitting the button that says start or go, whatever, and
right.
the machine's taking 3 or 4 pictures, candid pictures of me and whomever else. So it's really a treat for guests. They get
right. I was going to
solid.
say it's like a gift to the
Yeah,
guest.
that sounds
Like,
nice. I like that.
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I really think that's going to grow in popularity over
Oh,
the
I like
next
that.
couple of years. When I can't take credit for finding this, to be honest. This client was the one who was really insistent on having it for their wedding. And so now that I've looked more into it, I'm like, I can totally see this being something much more popular over the next few years.
Really, I wonder what the cost for something like that is. I haven't seen that
Well,
yet.
yeah.
Have you seen it, Celia?
No,
Have,
I
have you
haven't.
seen this
No,
setup? Okay.
no,
Yeah,
no.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
this will be
definitely
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, you're looking at probably triple the cost of a standard, probably even more than that, actually, now that I think about it. It is significantly more expensive because you do have trained professionals doing
Yeah,
lighting and the cameras and the live editing. So you are for sure making a bigger investment in something like that.
Yeah.
However,
Sounds fun
if you
though.
do something like that, you can forego favors, or
Right.
if it's something that really appeals to you, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility for.
no, I don't think so. I think that sounds like a nice idea.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
fun.
You know, there's some of these things are really evolving in ways that, we kind of didn't really expect. And I think anything that, what I've heard over and over and over again in the various webinars that I've been on is that, personalization is key to everybody planning their weddings right now. And,
Mhm.
and I don't know that Well, as favors go, I don't know that a beer koozie with your wedding date on it is something that people are going to treasure forever. And but how often do you have all your friends like all dressed up and all your family all dressed up? And
Mhm.
Right.
I think it's a nice way to capitalize on that. You know?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
I think couples, because of they're n- a lot of them aren't having as big of weddings, like the 175 guests. They might cut it back to 100 guests or 75 guests, and then they have more of a budget to work with to do fun things like this and get, a full service coordinate wedding planner, and then do something fun like this live photo shoot and kind of go all out with everything by
Mhm.
having a smaller gathering and no wedding party.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, also less stress. This is sounding to sound like how do we plan a wedding with no stress? It's
Yeah.
like the theme we have going on here. We really do. And
Truly. I mean, that's what I tell my couples, especially on inquiry calls. I say, look, I'm here to ensure you don't feel stressed throughout the process. Yes, there are going to be moments of big decisions. There are going to be moments, with family dynamics and just generally overall, there will be things that are stressful, but the day itself shouldn't feel
right.
stressed. You should
Yeah.
truly feel like you can experience the entire day without having to worry about the logistics and, what's missing, who's late, this, that, or
Right.
the other. So at least for my team, I aim to always have at least one person with the couple so that if they do have questions throughout the day, they can look over and give us the eye and say, what's next? If we haven't already told them where to be and what they're doing
Yeah.
next. So there's literally no question as to, what's happening, where am I supposed to be, or how are we doing on time? Like they can truly just enjoy the day.
I think it's interesting. We talked to a number of photographers, and we have more coming up that, people, I think that your average person who has never done this before, and that's, a vast majority of the people that at least I marry, if they have done it before, it was a long time ago.
Mhm.
And, there are so many details that people just don't even have a grip on, that, the millions of things that are going to happen that day and all those timestamps and all those vendors and all that stuff that you have to keep track of. There's literally no way to do that as a couple without not enjoying your day yourself. And,
Mhm.
I love when I have a good planner, a good coordinator, because it means that my couple is not going to be crazy. Somebody's going to know where the license is. Somebody's going to know where the boutonnieres are and how to pin them on, which after
Mhm.
thousands of weddings, I still do not know how to do that.
Right.
So,
I don't touch a boutonniere. I'm so
no,
afraid
me
of
neither. No,
breaking them.
no.
Send them my way. I love
Yeah.
it.
It's just an invitation to injury. That's the way I see it,
Well,
frankly.
I think the couple has spent so much time and energy and money planning, preparing for this wedding,
Right.
and you've invested in a photographer and in a videographer, and I think it's so important to have a good wedding planner, because then it all that money is well spent, and then you're gonna look relaxed and happy in your photos because
Yeah.
you're not running around trying, with your mom or your maid of honor trying to fix the DIY tablescapes and,
Oh gosh.
and wonder
Yeah.
where the, the buses are with all the guests coming from the hotel or things like that, So
Mhm.
I think it shows in your photos and your video and the flow of the day, and you've already spent that much money in
Mhm.
that. It's make your investment go further
Yeah.
so you can enjoy your day, truly
You're
enjoy it.
absolutely right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I can't take credit for this saying. I don't remember who I originally heard it from, but wedding planning is like an insurance policy for your wedding day. It's like you invest so
Yeah.
much time and money, get that insurance policy for the day so you can guarantee you're going to have a great time.
A great time.
It's as a planner, it's like I have so many wonderful planner friends who I know would agree with me. We are so stressed that you'll never see it on our faces, but our bodies literally take on the stress of the day. So by
Yeah.
the end of the night, we're exhausted, but we're just so happy that we were able to
Spent.
take that load. Like it's really a physical load. We feel it all day, and it's on us, but it's great because it means that our couple has not felt that. Um,
Yeah, I think that's true. And I feel like, I see planners I see planners doing things that you really would never come across that in your exploratory call with somebody. But, I had just a few weekends ago, we literally had an archway fall over flat on its face, like just ploppo. I mean, the only good thing about that was it didn't take the microphone out because of course it's all about me. But I mean, this poor planner was like, they were nuts. They put the thing back up. They like, rewired some of the flowers. Then they started dragging like half log benches over to put from the little area to put on the end of it to hold it up. And by the end of this thing, the planner was literally standing on the back of the arch behind me trying to like make it not fall over again. And
oh my
I'm like, you
God.
know what? You just she says, well, I got to hear the whole ceremony. It's like, it's like there's always like there's a well, and it rearranged some of the flowers so that they look a little bit looser and nicer now. It's like it's all about the spin you put on these things. And it'll still be a great story next month, but at the time it really was not such a great story. And she just like, all right, assistant, come over, grab that big rock. It was great.
Yeah, you do what you gotta do.
You really do.
In the moment, the things that I have done on wedding days, other planners have told me stories about, you just make it happen. It's a
Yeah,
very
you
much
do.
all hands on deck, make it happen kind of a situation. Because, as much as you do plan in advance and try to avoid any kind of issues coming up, life happens and
Yeah, it does.
things happen. I had a wedding years ago where it was a bride and her bridesmaids. They didn't do transportation because it was a very short drive from where they were getting ready to the church or the venue. So they were going to take the maid of honor's car over to the venue, and she lost her car keys.
Oh,
Could not find her car keys anywhere.
Oh no.
Said, "Well, I've got a truck if you'd like to take my Jeep Liberty over to the venue. You're more than welcome to come with me." So I was transportation in a pinch because we looked high and low, couldn't find this car key. So little things like that
yeah.
happen, and the good thing is when those do happen, you have a planner team to help you figure out and resolve the
Yeah.
issue, and having to put
Well,
that
and
on.
and the odds are that you've seen it before. It's
Yeah.
not like I know, it's oh my cousin she's gonna act as a coordinator because she did her own wedding and it was great. It's like, oh my God. It's like, until
Yeah.
you've done as many weddings as you've done and seen things happen that you could never even imagine, you don't you can do it on the fly because you've done it before.
Exactly. Yeah, there's few things that we haven't seen, and I think one of the one of the
Don't
other
say that out loud.
I know. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, the other thing too is God, we have so many contacts within the industry. God forbid, like I don't know, and makeup artist doesn't show up or something.
Right.
The odds of us being able to get a replacement that morning are very
Mhm.
high.
Right.
Very, it's a very what's the word? It's a tense moment, but we
Right.
know we can resolve it, right? And we would rather take that on and figure that out for you than you having to worry about it.
Yeah,
So
I
Right.
think that's a good way to go into the day, frankly. It's like, I
it's
don't have to worry
happened.
about anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it has happened, but again, like we have a very, very, very high chance of being able to resolve that for you and not having your maid of honor calling or posting in a random Facebook group like, "Help, we need
Right. Help.
Help
a
me, we
makeup
need
artist."
somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makeup artist just tested positive for COVID. We need a backup now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
that's for your expertise and your experience. That's so great that can probably find someone in a pinch,
mhm.
Well,
and a
and
good person in a pinch.
connections really help.
Yeah.
We've gotten calls that's like, what are you doing? That's the answer to that is always, oh my God. what are you
Yeah.
doing? Like, I'm sitting at my desk in my jammies. It's like, well, our efficient didn't show up. It's like, okay, I'll see you in 18 minutes.
Yeah.
And then, and if if it's somebody that I know and if it's a planner that I've worked with, I am more inclined to be, okay, I'll be there. We're going to it's like Mighty Mouse, and here we are to save the day, all of us together. And it's,
Yeah.
that's a safety net that you really don't have if you're doing this, all on your own. I think that that is more important in some of our real, here's your keys, have a great time venues. There are venues that you really do need somebody because nobody is going to know where the flowers got delivered. They need
Oh my
you.
gosh. Yeah, absolutely. For a venue that it is more so a rental space and you're bringing
Yeah.
in catering, tables, chairs, forks, knives, like all of that, it's honestly, I want to say it's impossible. I know it's not impossible
No, it
technically,
is impossible. No,
but
you're right.
it's not enjoyable. It is
No,
so much more work.
Yeah.
so
So
much
much
more than you
work.
realize.
You
Yeah.
Absolutely.
you absolutely have to have a planner for an event like that.
You
It's
totally do. It's, it's
yeah.
not that it's impossible because it's totally possible and we do it all the time, but there's
It's not enjoyable.
Not
Run
it's
enjoyable.
out of
not
Yeah.
fun.
time.
No.
It's not time. The time is never managed, right? Yeah, and then you end up spending more money because
Yes.
late.
Right. And you're throwing money at things that you really should have had planned beforehand. But like, you don't know that. You're a couple. What do you know about how many teaspoons you need? You don't,
Yeah. Yeah, the big thing I see with those types of events is staffing issues.
Oh, yeah.
I've encountered, clients who've like, yeah, we have the party ends at 11, so we kept the staff on till, about 10 because we'll be done serving food by that time. But I'm like, well, who's going to throw out the trash? Who's going to bust the tables? Who's going to clear all the linens afterward?
Yeah.
Like, is that something that you want to be doing after you've partied for 4 or 5 hours? Like, I don't
Yeah, you
think
don't
so.
want to have to think about it, right?
Right. Your non-existent bridal party is not going to want to
Oh
mop the
my God.
floors afterwards. They just don't.
No, no, no. Oh my, that would be my worst nightmare. That would be my worst nightmare. As if I was either in the wedding party or, as a planner, that would not be a fun situation. Definitely don't rely on guests to help with that
Yeah,
process.
that's a very good point. That should be one of like our logos. All of us is like, do not rely on your guests to work.
Oh my, yeah, yeah,
Right. And
definitely.
let everybody enjoy it. I want
Yeah,
to say,
really.
Alicia Margaret, well, first of all, you have a ton of great reviews talking about understanding the couple's vision and execution flawless. I want to tell our listeners that we will include a link to Alicia Margaret Events, her website, as well as her Instagram on our social media, which is New Jersey Wedding Podcast, and also on our website, so that you can just go right to it, click, get to her website, get to her Instagram, and see, all the information on her website, her different packages, and contact her right through there. And I want to thank you very much for joining us today, Alicia. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank
No,
you
it's
so much. It was great to talk to you.
same. It was wonderful speaking with both of you. Thank you for having me on and have a wonderful wedding season.
You
Right. I
too.
was
Bye-bye.
going to say, hopefully
Bye.
we'll see you this wedding season and
Yeah.
next year.
I hope so. I hope so too.
All right.
Thank you again. Have a great one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So that was really great to have
Yeah.
Alicia Margaret Events join us today. We always talk about the positives of having a wedding planner, or even a same day coordinator, or as she calls it, wedding manager, management.
Yeah. I think that's a brilliant term, honestly, because
Yeah,
you can do all the planning and get the best vendors and, have the greatest venue, but on that day, you do not want to be the go-to person. You
right,
don't. And, especially the more that, the couple feels like they want to do in terms of, decor and, anything that you're going to do. You're going to make your own place cards, you're going to do your own flowers, whatever that is. You don't want to do that on the day. At some point you want to kick back and you want to relax. And you can't really do that without a point person.
right.
Never mind like all the things that can happen along the way that if you have a good a good wedding manager person, you're not even going to know that they happened. You don't know that the boutonnieres were late or like the top layer of the cake fell off. You're just going to know it was done.
Yeah, never
Not that
gonna
we've
know.
ever seen any of those things happen. No. This is why every planner and coordinator I know has like a crash kit that's the size of a smart car. It's like you need
Right.
like fake rings and black socks and duct tape in every color. It's like, anything that can go wrong. They've probably seen this before, which is, as we said with her, it's a real argument for getting, not getting your cousin who planned her own wedding and loves to plan weddings now because
Right.
she might have planned hers, but she didn't see the other 4,000 things that can happen that you just don't expect. I never say they went wrong. I always say
Right.
it's like they're unexpected.
Unexpected, the
Yeah.
twists and turns of it. And I think, if you have decided on doing a uh do it yourself, go in and
Yeah.
decorate and do all the centerpieces and the tablescapes and all of that yourself. Maybe you've rented out a place where you have to set the tables or that type of
Mhm.
thing, and you're going to do it yourself. It might start out fun at the
Oh yeah.
beginning, you and your bridesmaids or your family members there, right? Well, then you're rushed for time because you have hair and makeup and photos and it's your wedding day, and just the end of the night, that's just the worst.
Nobody wants to do anything.
Oh,
Trust me on this one. No, they don't want to. Your bridesmaids, and you've heard this too. It's like, oh, well, the wedding party's going to help clean up. It's like, no, they're not.
No, they're
They're
not.
they're not they're not going to want to, and they're not going to make sure that everything gets packed, and nobody's going to know where the clothes you wore in or the clothes you take out. Nothing is going to be right. It's
Right.
so well worth the money. It really is.
Yeah.
But I think she touched on this too. There's so many things that they do that are not really obvious. And I'm thinking of a lot of the venues that I'm working in, the really, up level venues that I work in, they're all installing bigger, better, more beautiful wedding suites. So people can really it's like a resort, you can spend
Right.
all day there. You go in the morning, which is great because your bridal party, nobody can be late because they've got like, they're going to be there all day.
Right.
And, you get your hair done and, the guys can play, I don't know, cornhole and do whatever guys do. But it's, somebody needs to make sure you have breakfast, and that
Right.
all your stuff got there. And
Yeah.
I just think that's so relaxing.
Mhm, mhm. I think also if you're not doing it at one venue like that, being at the shore here,
Mhm.
if you're having your ceremony, say, on the beach and then going back to the venue for your reception or at one of our beautiful parks
Mhm.
or gazebos or on the gazebo on the boardwalk, somebody has to bring the decorations from the ceremony to the
Right.
reception. Who's bringing the flowers and all the stuff that was at the ceremony? Well, that's your coordinator, because
Yeah.
again, you don't want to assign people this work.
No,
Um,
they don't,
and
because they don't want to do it.
they
And
don't want to do it. They want to enjoy their day and then they'll forget,
yeah,
so
it's true.
yeah.
Well, and even one of the planners that I follow on Instagram did a reel on setting up, before any of the bridal party or the guests are there. And it's like just the mere fact of finding all the vases and putting all the flowers in them and putting water in them and then, cleaning up the water that spilled and putting up all the little signs. This is stuff that takes so much more time than anybody thinks. And planners who do this every week, they know how much time to budget in for all those things that you want to have them accomplish.
Right.
I
Right.
think I think it's a great idea. I
And
really do.
I'm going to say again that Alicia Margaret Events, she has a lot of great reviews, and um, a lot of them state how she understood their vision. So
Mhm.
I love that idea of what are you looking for? It's not her vision. It's what are you looking for? She finds out what they want and then she makes it happen. She
Mhm.
executes their vision, to perfection. So I think that's just a beautiful review, and she certainly is upbeat and energetic, and she loves her job. So that's a real plus there.
Yeah, it's what after, we say this over and over again. It's like after all the time and money and stress and emotion that you put into putting these things together, this is, for me, I think that having a wedding management person or a planner, if you are really like, if you're like me, like I couldn't plan a wedding. God, there'd be like nothing there. Um, It might be like a bottle of champagne and like 3 glasses and a tulip. It would be like nothing for anybody else. But it's really it's not really a luxury. And having a
No.
having a plan or a day of it's not a luxury. It's a necessity to make sure that the things that you have already spent money, time, stress, and energy on are going to translate on that day the way that
Right.
you want them to,
Exactly. You've already spent the money on it. And yeah,
Yeah.
you have to get the planner. And it's funny, I do think sometimes people they'll get down to the end of their whole, a couple of months before their wedding, and they're like, that's when they decide, okay, I can't do this. I've got to get a
Yeah.
same day coordinator or a wedding manager. They get down to that stress point and say, yeah, I got to add that on.
Yeah, I've had it. Well, it's you embark on this process, many people, and for I would say a vast majority of the people that we work with, they've never done anything of this scale before. Unless they're project managers or in the business somehow, they've never had to do this kind of an event with these many moving parts.
Right.
It's not realistic to think that if you've never done it before, you're going to be able to take this, kind of disparate army of professionals and whip them into shape. It's good to have somebody who can do that for you.
Yeah. It takes a good personality, to be upbeat and happy and smiling and working with everyone, but also be like, a taskmaster,
Right. Right. Getting it
So,
done, yeah, getting it
so,
done. We said, and we mentioned that a little, we've seen planners do things that they probably, none of us ever expected them to be doing,
right.
So, well, I think she was good. And I think she really kind of encapsulated, the best reasons to have somebody that you can just point to and say, fix that.
Yeah. Yeah. I do too. I want to thank everyone for joining us today on New Jersey Wedding Podcast. Be sure to hit the follow and
Mhm.
like and so that you don't miss an episode. We have a lot of great other vendors and venues, a lot of venues coming up. And then,
Yeah.
of course, Celia and I will be talking more about some ceremony elements. And we would like to hear from you guys too. If you have any questions or you have any advice, um, go ahead and drop us a message through one of our social media, New Jersey Wedding Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and that is also our website. It has a contact form there. We'd love to hear from you. And if any previous New Jersey brides or grooms would like to be a guest on our show, we would love that.
That would be fun. It'd be
Yeah,
fun
that
to
would
hear,
be
what did you do and how did it work and what was more
yeah.
fabulous than you thought or turned out
Yeah.
differently than you thought?
Anything you didn't do that you wish you would have, anything you did
Mm,
do that you wouldn't do again.
yeah.
Yeah. Any advice, practical advice for, your fellow couples planning their wedding? Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. So, well, thanks again.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This podcast is brought to you by New Jersey wedding officiant Andrea Pertel, owner of For This Joyous Occasion Officiating Services.
And Celia Milton, owner of NJ Vows Now, also New Jersey wedding officiating services. We're up in North Jersey and Andrea is down in Central and South Jersey. So together we cover the whole state, don't we?
Yes, yes.